Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Priyaletitia and today I have a very exciting video. We're going to be going through the 25 books that I want to read in 2025. So you can kind of take this as a little bit of like a TBR, what I want to read, reading wish list for the new year. I'm not gonna lie, 25 books in a year is a little bit crazy, but if I had enough time to read every single one of these books, these are the ones that I'd kind of be picking. So without further ado, let's get into the video, grab a snack, get a drink, get all cozy, comfy, and let's get into it. Okay, I have all of my notes written down on my iPad, so I will be like looking at this to refer to what I'm going to be speaking about. So I'm going to be splitting this video into 3 parts. Firstly, my physical to be read or like book wish list. Secondly, all the fiction books I want to read, and then all the non-fiction books I want to read. And I think I have quite a varied mix on my wish list, and also take this as like book recommendations and stuff like that. So I have 2 books from my physical TBR that I want to read. So firstly is Hacking the Code to Life. I've already started this one. If you watched my what I got for my 16th birthday video, you would have seen this. I got this for my birthday and I'm already like partway through it. I'm really enjoying this, but I don't think I'm going to finish it before 2024 ends. So I'm very excited to carry this one into the new year. It's very interesting. And the second book that I have on my physical book list is Katherine Johnson's kind of memoir, a memoir called My Remarkable Journey. I love Katherine Johnson. She's such an inspiration and she's just such an amazing like woman in STEM, and I'm so excited to read this book. I haven't gone too far into it. I think I read like the introduction because I was way too excited to wait to start reading it, but I absolutely love her story and everything, so I'm excited to read this memoir. I think it's the only memoir on my reading wish list, so yeah, got this one. Okay, so that concludes the physical books section. The first few books that I'm going to mention in this section are going to be parts of series that I've read this year. So just to give a little bit of context. So firstly, Allegiant. I really do want to read this and finish off the Divergent. I believe it's a trilogy. I read the first 2 books of this trilogy this year, and I didn't get around to reading Allegiant, so I really do want to read it before watching the film. But yeah, I'm a big sucker for dystopian stuff and all that, so there will be a few more dystopian stuff coming up. The second one that's part of a series that I read this year is As Good as Dead, which is the 3rd book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson, I believe. To be honest, murder mystery is not really my genre, so I was very surprised that I actually liked the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series this year, but I just kind of want to finish it off and finish reading As Good as Dead in 2025. The next one I am over the moon about. This is like my most anticipated released book. I'm so excited for this one to come out this year, and that is Sunrise on the Reaping. I am a massive Hunger Games fan, as you know. I love dystopian books. I am just too excited for this new book to come out. I am so excited to watch the movie. I am so excited to read it. I will probably buy it as soon as it comes out. So I'm kind of clearing out March to give myself some time to read this book. So anything Hunger Games, sign me up. That is going to probably be the book that I'm looking forward to most in 2025. The next book is kind of like a book talk book, and I've seen it on Book Talk a little bit. I haven't like dug too deep into like the book or the series or what it kind of entails, but from what I've heard about it, it's like a dystopian book with like a little bit of romance. So I'm not really sure about that, but it's the Shatter Me series, so I'm not really sure. I'm not really like a big romance book person. I haven't read that many book talk books, but I'm hoping to get into some of them and like basically see what all the hype is about. I am just so excited to read this one. It's The Maze Runner. I know they have a film for it, but I have not watched it because I haven't read the book yet. It's just another dystopian book. I feel like it's one of the like the 3 dystopian books that everyone talks about are like The Maze Runner, Hunger Games and Divergent. So I've read 2 of 3 of them. And I like the Maze Runner's like storyline. I think it's really cool and definitely something that I would love. I don't know what it is about dystopian books, but they have my heart. The next book is the first one of a series and it's called All Fall Down by Ali Carter. I read Ali Carter's Gallagher Girls series, or like, is that up here? But the first book is like I Tell You I Love You But Then I'd Have to Kill You, and I absolutely love that whole series. Her writing is so good, it's so gripping, it's so captivating. The whole storyline and the action and everything was just amazing. So I'm really hoping that this other book is, oh, I think it's from the Embassy Row series. But I'm really just excited to read more of her novels because she is like such a good writer. The next one I haven't done that much research into, but it's called The Renegades, and this one's been on my like reading wish list for a really long time. So I just thought I'd add it in. But it's kind of like, from the vibe that I'm getting from it, it's like kind of like a superhero book and like a fantasy kind of like that style. So next one is 1984 by George Orwell. This is a bit more of like a classic book, but I read Animal Farm at school and I actually really enjoyed it, and I liked kind of like the themes around it and different things. So, and 1984 is supposed to be like a good book, so I'm trying to venture out into different areas, like not just staying with the contemporary books but still kind of going with the classics. So if I was to read like a classic book, I would really want to read more of George Orwell's, and 1984 seems like probably a good one to go with. The next one is The Naturals, and I think it's by the same author as the Inheritance Games, and I read the Inheritance Games this year and I liked it. It was okay, but I feel like from the blurb of The Naturals, I feel like it has a little bit of a better storyline, but we'll see, because again, I'm not really big on murder mystery. I thought A Good Girl's Guide to Murder was a bit of a fluke because that is just not my genre or like what I like to read at all, but I think The Naturals might be an interesting story, and a lot of people have said some really great stuff about it, and it's also like another YA murder mystery kind of vibe book. So I put down here Check and Mate. I think this was on like the Goodreads 2023 like YA romance best book or something like that. It was nominated for a Goodreads, so that's basically where I heard about it, and also on Book Talk as well, and I didn't get around to reading it this year. So it looks like a cute little YA romance. It just, yeah, so we'll see, because obviously I'm trying to explore different genres. Then we also have another romance book, but this one was one that I particularly thought that would be kind of cute. It's called My Mechanical Romance, and it's kind of like an academic rivals to lovers, but like a really sweet, cute kind of school-based one, I think. So not anything too crazy, but yeah, we'll see. Then I also have The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, or just Sherlock Holmes or whatever. I don't know what the specific title of the book is called, but I listened to some of these on audiobook and I actually really loved the style of writing and everything around like the Sherlock Holmes books, and I really like them for a classic. I think that they seem awfully contemporary and like quite nicely written and everything like that, and quite interesting, to be honest, because sometimes I feel like classics are so inaccessible because of their like, you know, the old language, but I feel like Sherlock Holmes is not like that at all. The last book in the fiction section is Anna and the French Kiss. I've heard a lot of good things about this, and I think it was on a book recommendation video from this other like teen booktuber, and this is like one of her favorite books, so I was like, okay, I might give this a try. It's based in Paris, and I think that's kind of cute. Moving on to the non-fiction book section. So I have so many non-fiction books that I want to read this year. I've actually found quite a few that really interest me. The My Remarkable Journey memoir and the Hacking the Code to Life. I would count those in the non-fiction section, so I have a few more in this one now. But I am actually so excited to share with you all of these non-fiction books. I actually got some as audiobooks to like listen to them, help get through them a little bit, because sometimes I like listening to non-fiction books a little bit more than reading them. First non-fiction book is Invisible Woman, and it's about data bias and all those different kind of things that kind of go on in our society, and it kind of touches on like different areas of just society and different areas of science and data. And I thought this was quite interesting because it talks about like AI and what the data gap means for coding those systems and all the other implications of the data gap within science. There's so much data out there, we all share data, and it's just a crazy minefield. So I just thought this would be a really interesting read. I think the synopsis really captured me, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to know a little bit more about this. Then we have Ultra Processed People. I think this is a very popular book. It's by Chris Van Tullochen. In case you didn't know, that is Dr. Chris from Operation Ouch. And I got the audio book for this one. And I am very excited about this one. I listened to a podcast that he was on. I think it was like for the Royal Society of Medicine or something like that. And he was talking about how these like ultra processed foods can lead to further health inequalities, and I just found that so interesting because we are all surrounded with ultra processed food, with fast food, with takeaways, with even the things that we pick up in the supermarket. So it really is inevitable, and I think knowing more about our food system, knowing more about what I'm putting into my body is very, very important. This book I feel like sums up all of his research that he's done about that, so I'm very excited to read it. For these non-fiction books, I feel like I'm not doing them justice, so I am going to go on like Amazon and like read the synopsis a little bit. So the next book I am so excited about is called The Intersectional Environmentalist by Leah Thomas, and basically the title of it says How to Dismantle Systems of Oppression to Protect People and the Planet. And I think this is something that I was very interested in because I'm very interested in climate change and kind of like sustainability and the different ways in which like countries can work together and what we can do on an individual level to help with this problem. So I really want to just educate myself on the topic, and I thought this one was quite interesting, and I think it will really highlight the importance of different groups and different cultures and different people, and how we all really need to work together across sectors to really come to a good, sustainable solution in terms of our climate crisis. And I'm hoping that that's what this book gives me. The next book is Prisoners of Geography, and this one is a very popular book. It's by Tim Marshall, and yeah, he has like a whole different like series of books. There's like The Power of Geography, The Future of Geography, tons of different stuff. But I'm thinking of doing A-level geography, and this one's all about it's kind of like about geopolitics and like a bit of like an introduction, beginner's guide to geopolitics. And I was actually very much struggling whether I wanted to pick politics A-level or geography, and I feel like I really love geography, and the fact that it also has politics like underneath that branch and geopolitics was what I was specifically interested in. So I am really excited to read this book. The second book that's also on the list is The Power of Geography, and this is basically, I feel like, an extension of Prisoners of Geography. All of these kind of go along like the climate change vibe, but all from different angles, so I think it will all be very interesting. So this one is called This Changes Everything, and it's about capitalism versus the climate and how capitalist attitudes contribute to the climate crisis and all that kind of stuff. And for my APQ, I think I might want to write about like climate change, sustainability, global systems, blah blah blah. So I thought that this would be a really perfect book about looking at the different arguments or what people think causes climate change and the different angles of it, because you can look from a strictly scientific standpoint, you can look from a social standpoint, you can look from a political standpoint, and all these different contributing factors. So I thought capitalism versus the climate, that sounds quite interesting. Okay, now have another book which is also related to the climate crisis. So a lot of my non-fiction books are also related to that, and this one is called Not the End of the World, and it's how can we be the first generation to build a sustainable planet. And I thought this book was really interesting because the author's basically writing from a scientific standpoint but also a bit more of a positive standpoint. I feel like when you learn about climate change or you hear about it, it's a very like doom and gloom and oh my gosh, we're doomed and we're all gonna like whoa poof off of this planet. But you know, looking at something slightly bit more positive is also really great to like kind of balance out the tables a little bit. So when I'm reading all about all this like kind of negative climate change stuff, I just thought this book would be a really interesting way of like kind of weighing and evening up the weighing scales in terms of like the content that I'm consuming. And she basically talks about how when she was studying geography or when she was studying the climate crisis and the science and the data behind it, it was a lot of like doom and gloom and it was very kind of like depressing. So I think that this book will be really, really interesting to kind of have like a lighter, nicer, more positive outlook on the climate crisis. I was also thinking of like solutions and ways we can mitigate what on earth is going on. I don't know how far we are into the 25 books. I don't know if I've hit 25 yet. And one last book, I got I haven't got it yet, but it's on my Christmas wish list, and it is the biology book by DK, and oh my goodness, it looks so good. I am so excited to get this book. I know I've definitely got it. My mum's bought it for me, and yeah, I'm so excited. It has such cute pictures. It looks so informational. It's so gorgeous. It's a really nice, big, thick, chunky monkey book. This is like another DK book, and it's called How Technology Works. But I've got this book for biology, and it has just such good like visuals, so informational, and it really like kind of simplifies really big concepts into really like small, easy to compute bits and bobs. And it's just, you can just read one page and come out with so much information, and I'm so excited to get this book, but the biology version. I think that's everything then, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you really like this or you want more content, then don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I really appreciate all of your engagement. But without further ado, I'm just gonna say bye, and I hope you come back for another video. Bye guys.